Easy being the fastest quarterback you've never seen. I'll be right back. There's no quicker way to get into DFS. Play Super Draft today and see for yourself.
We're behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. Then when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. If we do that, we'll be all right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Football University with me, Matt Caddell, former University of Alabama wide receiver, number 11. Hopefully, 1-1 in your heart. Again, hopefully everybody's enjoying their day, enjoying their Wednesday, and we're ready to talk some football here at Football University, where we cover everything. What impressed us? We're in the garden football. This is for all the football fanatics. And you know we got to keep it 100 for our Alabama fans. Roll Tide, roll. We've got a lot to talk about with the Tide. And but listen, we have some special guests lined up for today. Former SEC champion Griff Redmill, and we got Chris James, who's an elite talent that came out of the University of Alabama. Such a knowledgeable football guy. He will be joining us shortly. And so this is Football University. Let's dive right in it. Let's start it. So, I always love to start and talk about what really impressed me over this past weekend, really with the NFL. And for me, I just got to start up front and say that let's start with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they handled business. They had a short week going into Houston Thursday night game. Although Jalen might have had a few fumbles, kudos to Houston, the defense, Christian Harris, those guys making plays. They were able to show their dominance. And got to say the Philadelphia Eagles, and I keep harping on, the way they play, their style, how they have, Jalen Hurts, their system, how they lead the defense, how they lead the offense. I mean, those guys are hitting on all cylinders. And the Philadelphia Eagles, again, have proven why they're the top team in the NFL. Also, please get in the comments. Roll Tide, roll. Say if you have any questions, please get in the comments. Jump on in. Let's talk about whatever you want. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Again, we want all our fans. This is for the football enthusiasts here at Football University. So I watched, we talked about the Philadelphia Eagles, just football fanatics, those fans. But another team that really impressed me was the Baltimore Ravens. And you'll see another theme of just how I like to highlight teams that are really impressing themselves and they're really finding their chemistry and playing to their players' strengths. And the Baltimore Ravens, again, they have a nasty defense with Houston. This guy has averaged a sack, multiple sack games um, while being for the Baltimore Ravens. Um, Another thing, Lamar Jackson, Greg Roman, they have a system where they can execute and be physical up front. They're not afraid to go to these 2 and 3 tight end sets. They have massive offensive linemen, but they inert that physicality. And that's going to be a theme for me today at Football University. Things that like a physicality, toughness, playing with grit, going out there, galvanizing the guys. Those are what really impressed me with teams like the Eagles, as well as the Baltimore Ravens. And things that, I like to bring it back to Alabama, things I feel like Alabama are lacking right now. So we need to try to get things figured out. We need some changes. I know all the Bama fans are frustrated, and we're going to address those things. And right now, we know that Alabama's lacking physicality going out there. We have a system. We have a plan. We need to go out there and kind of get back to playing Alabama football and being physical and just rolling, playing football, having fun. Like the Baltimore Ravens and the Eagles, like, let's do that. Let's win the game. Another team that impressed me, I got to say this. Another team that's really impressed me has been, the Miami Dolphins. Ever since Tua has come back, they have been effective with their offense. Now, defensively, they do need to improve. I know they acquired Bradley Chubb, but their system, their scheme, Mike McDaniel, he's a wizard. Another thing, talking about the Dolphins, they were impressive. They got another road win over in the Midwest. Last week, they were in Detroit. This week, they were in Chicago and Soldier Field. Hostile environment. It was a shootout. Another great thing about this game, if you're a football fanatic, and I think that's what we hear at Football University, our fans, we just love football, baby. You're looking at the Dolphins and the Chicago Bears, 2 teams who have found how to utilize their players' talents and be effective, whether it's, Justin Fields. I feel like Tua and Justin Fields, they had the best quarterback matchup Sunday. They put together a clinic, going out there, being effective. Fields with his, capability. They acquired Chase Claypool, so they're showing that they're invested in him, instilling confidence. He's going out there making plays with his arms, his legs. Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, said when Justin Fields ran out of bounds on their side, he's like, man, bro, you got to stop. You have to stop running and scrambling because you're giving the defense fits. And I feel like that's where Alabama needs to get. We're going to bring it back to Alabama. We got to play Bill O'Brien. All the Bama fans know we're frustrated with O'Brien and Pete Golden. But, football's not that hard. We're making it too difficult. We just need to play to these players' strengths, practice, bring it out and have a plan. Let's make it happen like these Mike McDaniels, like the Dolphins, like the Chicago Bears. The Bears might have lost the game, but listen, they were very impressive. And I will talk about teams who have disappointed me, but teams who might have lost this past weekend, but they were so impressive. And so kudos to the Chicago Bears, Luke Getsy, the way they are rolling, playing around Justin Fields. He's very explosive. And as you see a theme, the top 3 teams, they've had quarterbacks who are mobile, who gives defenses fits. Whether it's vertically with their legs or in the passing game, but they have a system. And I feel like that's something that Alabama needs. We need to have a system for Bryce, a plan where we can be effective running the ball, get the ball out quickly. We need to have something creative because we're going to need it Saturday versus Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss Rebels, Land Sharks, Bears, whatever. They're gonna be coming. Lane is looking at his chops. So we've got to come prepared. I hope Saban and the guys are ready. It's just, but I'm trying to hold off for just venting about Alabama, my frustrations. But like I said, Tua, Justin Fields put on the clinic. If you want to teach young guys how to play quarterback, tell them to go watch that tape. You will learn a lot from those guys. Again, let's stick with it. Really surprised that the Buffalo Bills were not able to beat the Jets. You know, I know Josh Allen is ultra talented, but I had the Bills pick to win this game. But kudos to the New York Jets. I mean, they bounced back, had a bad loss previously to the New England Patriots at home, which a lot of people thought they should have won, but they bounced right back with a big victory, divisional opponent who people have, you know, the Buffalo Bills to win, go to the Super Bowl. And so got a special guest coming in. Everybody, told you we're loaded with special guests. We have the one and only Chris James from Albany, Georgia, played at Alabama from 2000 to 2004, I believe. Chris James was an exceptional special teams, DB, safety, nickel. He could do it all. Physical, blocked so many punts. I mean, this guy is just elite talent, so he should be logging on here shortly. So I just wanted to, Chris, are you here? Can you hear me?
Hey, man, I can hear you. How you doing, man?
Glad to have you on, man. We just glad to have you on. And I was telling all the fans, listen, get your questions ready. We got Bama players. This is the place to be. You see, he's got the scripted A. Chris James from Albany, Georgia. And Chris, you know how me and you go. We're football minds. You see, we're football minds. And I was just telling them what impressed me this past weekend. I like to start because, you know, we're football guys, Chris. Like, we talk everybody. The NFL, the Eagles, you know, they had a short week. They're impressive. The Baltimore Ravens. I was telling them about the Dolphins and the Bears, how that was a QB clinic between Justin Fields and Tua Tagovailoa. Those two guys put on the clinic, and how they have systems to really be effective. They have an offensive scheme. They play good defense, things that Alabama are lacking, you know, from a coaching standpoint. So, I mean, Chris, just talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, what impresses you about the Eagles, the Ravens, the Jets, and the Dolphins this past weekend? Floor is yours.
With the Eagles, it's just the way that they go about business. Like they for Jalen Hurts, because a lot of people, you know, they really doubted Jalen will be an NFL quarterback.
Yes.
But you don't just win the SEC Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year as a true friend.
Yes.
And not darn good. So Jalen, the thing about him, so much better in his progressions and his passing game, because his legs have always been there.
Always there. They were always there. Yeah.
Oh, it's lights out. They're both contenders. From the defense, Davis gets back. It's gonna it's gonna be unfair. But they just handle business in a professional. It's like the team has taken on, you know,
personality,
fun, but they're methodical, and the team has really taken on his personality. Calm, cool, collected, and same thing he did when he was in college. As far as the Dolphins are fun with Tua. I just love watching how he distributes the ball. He had the biggest arm in the world, and I still think that his arm is injury he sustained a few years back. I still think that he can perform, but the way he just gets rid of the ball, the way he events pre-snap, and the way that he throws his receiver open. You to a spot.
The accuracy. And Chris, I was going to say this point. You were talking about the Eagles and Philadelphia, how they have that culture and that brotherhood. To bring it back to Alabama, don't you feel like that's what we're kind of lacking right now in the locker room? We're not having the guys seem like they don't want to play for each other. We don't have that like physicality, tenacious type of brotherhood where we're going to go out there and we should be licking our chops on these road games. You know what I'm saying?
It used to be.
What do you think Alabama's lacking?
It used to be I just want to challenge them. I think that toughness, man.
Yes.
We're not violent at the point of attack like we used to be on both sides of the ball. Offensive line, defensive line, but I feel like it's a lot of meat left on the bone. And I feel like what a lot of people to Justin Boydby. When he went down, it seems like the and he's someone that we've missed, may have gone unknown guys on the defensive line, but he's, to me, by him not being there, just his leadership, he just knows how to lead those guys. A guy like him, a 4-year guy that's played all 4 years like him is huge, man. Tackles, man. We're not violent, man. We're hitting the ball carrier and not violent like we have, in the past. And to me, a linebacker that really was just a
dog
football player was, and I think it's been that long that really just want to separate the ball carrier from the ball. Since Matt Wilson, I may be wrong, I may be leaving one out, but I think it's been since Matt Wilson. Like last time we had a linebacker, well, Christian Harris was good, but he was kind of a guy that was back in high school to middle linebacker.
Yeah.
So that's in high school in Louisiana to coming into the SEC and having to start as a true freshman linebacker. So he got better as time went on. But as far as violent linebacker play, Matt Wilson was the last inside line back to those days. And I think we do have those guys on campus.
We just got to play them.
Yeah. Campbell, those guys, Blackshire. We have some guys. We have the. It's not a talent issue, man. It's just a more so of two.
Yeah, we got to play those guys. We've got to play those guys. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying we've got to play those guys. You're talking about linebackers, and kind of keep the same thing regarding the NFL. The New York Jets, they beat Buffalo Bills, and you look at their defense. You're talking about Alabama linebackers. C.J. Mosley has resurrected his career. I mean, he sets the tone. Their front four is physical, led by Quentin Williams. I mean, their defensive game plan is so – they just challenge you. And having that front four and that front seven physical, stopping the run, that goes a long way. It only helps your secondary. You look at a Sauce Gardner who's reaping the rewards. So let's expound on the Jets. Things that I feel like, to your point, Alabama needs that front four, that physicality to be effective, like the New York Jets. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Yes. See, it's no surprise that the Jets, they're doing it because they've drafted, the last few drafts. So, I mean, you didn't play good in college football. It's not a guaranteed translation, but you can pretty much tell about those who are going to be dudes in the league. And the Jets are just fun to watch, man. They're a young coach. It's from 49ers, man. A time before, his imprints started, and even it goes back to the of the football. They're not beating them. They're allowing the defense to do what they do, and it's like a defensive minded team that the offense feeds off the defense, because it feeds off the offense.
Yes.
For example,
I agree.
2019 LSU team, the 2020 Bama team, offense is so good that your defense has, but the Jets, it's like I mean, that your offense is so Jets, it's the opposite way around for that team.
Yes.
And when I saw that point spread before the game, and I was like, no, that right there, 13. I think they were 13-point favorites.
Yes.
13. The Bills were, and I was like, respectful. I knew the Bills, but I always thought that I wasn't surprised that the Jets won. I really wasn't, because of how they've been playing, you know. But I thought the Bills were going to win, but I thought it was going to be a lot closer. I thought a one-possession game, and the Jets actually, and that shows us that they're truly a contender. So
yeah,
Jets,
they're a contender,
and the Bills, because everybody had pretty much made it a foregone conclusion that the Bills were going to. That's not the case.
Yes.
And that division then thought that it would be. And then you can't. New England.
Yeah, New England. You never know. But we're not going to talk about the Patriots. We're going to stick. We got some great questions, Chris. We're going to address Spencer Rively. Brother, thank you for the question. He says, Matt, do you think Jalen Hurts will win the MVP? I'll ask my question first, Chris, and I'll let you go. First, I think the MVP, I think it's tiered. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen are probably like your top two. But as of lately, Josh Allen has thrown 4 picks the past 2 games. Mahomes kind of had to put out his Superman cake versus the Titans, and we'll get into the Titans as another one of those teams that just have that physicality. So I think it's Josh Allen and Mahomes kind of tier. Maybe Mahomes has the slight edge, but Jalen Hurts is right there for me. I mean, he's leader of the undefeated team. He has improved on his downfield accuracy. This is the first time I've seen Jalen, really, he used to have to wait to see the pass open or the hole, but he's really anticipating it, getting the ball out there to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean, they use the tight end. So I think Jalen Hurts is in there, and I'm going to tell you my sneaky pick for MVP, because he missed two games. Tua Tagovailoa, he is my sleeper for MVP. People don't want to give him his credit. Mike McDaniel is a wizard. I watched their offense. I mean, they have so many window dressing, reverses. They run the ball effectively. If they get their defense down pat, I think they will be successful. So those are mine to answer your question, Spencer. I think it's Mahomes kind of leading, Josh Allen kind of tier, and I think right there is Jalen Hurts. And as a sleeper, for me, it would be Tua Tagovailoa. Chris, your thoughts?
I agree with you. I honestly think that Jalen may be the front runner, because yeah. Right now I have him as my front runner, because Eagles, where they are at this point, is pretty remarkable, because this late in the season, and to still be undefeated halfway through the season, man. And because how many teams have done that in the last, however many years, and it's led by him. He's been consistent week after week after week. Consistent. Like Allen had, he hasn't always played his Mahomes. They haven't always played their best. They may have had some ups and downs, but Jalen has been consistent. And
Chris, to your point, who we left off? Kirk Cousins with the chains, like the Minnesota Vikings people, like they have back to that brotherhood, Chris, and how they play for each other. I mean, you see it after the game on the plan, like they're icing out Kirk Cousins. But listen, they have a system. They can throw it, they can run it. Defensively, Zadarius Smith is an absolute beast. So I feel like with these top teams, whether it's the Ravens, the Eagles, the Jets, you have to have a system offensively, and you need to
Taylor's
be
your quarterback.
you got to have effective offense. So we got some great questions, Chris. We're going to keep rolling. Somebody said Kirk Cousins is balling. Another team, Chris, the Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll.
Oh,
Like, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. Talk about what you're seeing for the Seahawks, Chris, while I look at these questions from these football fans here at Football University.
I think that once the Seahawks won that first one, they were like, okay, they won the third one, and that fourth, it started to open eyes, man. I think that Seattle is doing what everybody thought Denver was going to be doing.
You're right.
Wilson was going to be doing that in Denver, and he's kind of started slow out the gate. But Geno, man, at one point, as I can recall, he was leading the league in certain categories, and Geno that we saw back in West Virginia, he went back to
yeah, he did.
He reverted back to Geno from college. Yeah. He was ridiculed so much, man, and was told he's not. He never complained. He was never in the media. Just stayed there and kept chopping wood, man. And the opportunity in it itself.
It is. They have a great system, and Chris. We call ourselves the unofficial GM, so they did a great job drafting. They won that trade. Pete Carroll stuck to his guns. I mean, you look at Eric Woolen, their freshman class, Kobe Bryant from another DB/safety guy, utilization defensive guy,
the Sauce Gardner guy.
Like they won, like those guys won. And they won. They're good. They got a lot of young guys. So, Chris, next question. This question's for me, but I'll let you elaborate. It says, Matt, how does coaches motivate players in the NFL that think they know more and make money? You're kind of seeing this in the college because you have NIL. Whenever you have money, and in the NFL, you have guys who are making certain amounts of money. So you get egos. You get all these different personalities. Why are you trying to get everybody to do their job? So I always felt like the best locker rooms, the best teams, the teams like the Eagles, the Ravens, the Jets, they got great leadership, but they have a system to keep the main thing the main thing. Like at the end of the day, they might make all this money, but they got coaches that have a culture. We're going to go out there and dominate and win. And the players have bought in, and they're playing for each other. As you can see that with the top teams, the Ravens, the Eagles, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Vikings. I mean, that's how you keep a successful NFL team. Your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I agree. I think it starts with the culture. It's okay to be a coach, but you have to also be a head coach that doesn't mind benching the guy, because you have to let them know that, hey, your position, and you just have to stay hungry, man. And every player, you can't coach every player the same. That's why
it's true.
Build a relationship with your players, because you want to find, because some buttons you can't push with everybody. You can't push certain buttons with every player, because everybody have different personalities. So some guys need to kick in the butt. But
you're right.
And so that's why people have team psychologists, sports psychologists and stuff, because they figure out deep, man. They find out the person, are they alpha, for personality, are they dominant, are they more quiet, or and they to see what they're dealing with. They'll know how to kind of act, because if you give somebody some money, man, a lot of times they can be see for themselves, they can, especially I'm seeing right now in college. But you have to find out if every person
And I think
click, man.
I think it comes back to the coaches, like, and we'll get into college and everything, but let's see. I want to make sure I cover and thank you for all the fans. And Spencer says, to your point, so it's the coaching staff. I think we're going to transition to college, and we're going to go ahead, and we got Griff Redmill about to come here, another Bama brother. Yes, that is BJ Jam, and that is former Bama great Chris James, the one and only Albany, Georgia's finest. And Chris, let's just go ahead and dive right into college football. And it's so funny to say that what impressed me obviously was Georgia, but we're talking about coaching staff and having that, when you have so much money involved with players, whether it's NFL or college, like Alabama has NIL players, but it seems like at the end of the day, they're forgetting that they're ball players, or they're not out there executing, like setting the standard, playing football. So it's very frustrating. And going to that, it does go back to coaches. And Kirby has credit to Kirby. He has a way, he has a system, he plays to his strengths, but he does a great job coaching those guys to be dogs and developing their talent. And so I think that was the biggest thing that was lacking from Alabama. And it showed. Kirby Smart defensive game plan versus Pete Golden defensive game plan. It's light and day. So Chris, I'll let you to expound on what, Alabama is really lacking. Or what impressed you from the collegiate football week. Everybody was talking about Georgia. So you can go into the details of what impressed you about Georgia.
When I turn on that TV, Georgia looks like vintage Alabama.
Yep, look just like Alabama.
They're physical, man. They're so dominant. But what I told somebody, I said when Kirby, it seemed like Kirby was trying, when he first got there, he was trying to keep up with Saban.
Yeah.
Recruiting ties kind of, to find his footing. But started recruiting kids that fit his system. Not just any 5-star. Just because the kids are feeling that they could play in any system. Kirby started going to get that fits his system as far as what you look for measurement wise from an edge guy or inside backers. Because even the linebackers he recruit now, he recruit big lumbering guys, the Dante Hightowers.
Yeah.
Spread team, we would get 8 up. Teams spread us out. But adapt it. And it looks like Bama. It's just in red. Those guys are physical, man. And one thing, I may get some flack for this, but one that I think is their identity, man, not conquering.
You're right.
When that used to challenge those guys, man, he used to really and get the best out of them. He used to challenge them. And we haven't, like, we were physical 2 years ago. The 2020 team was very, very physical.
You had dogs on the team.
Landon Dixon, man. Probably the best, meanest
lineman
under Saban. Landon Dixon, Najee Harris. Those dogs. You got and we don't have that. Like now, offensively, we have talent. Anybody to really run between the tackles like we've had the last 10, 12, 14. Yes. Yes, we have guys. We have pretty much guys that you want to get inside. Now we're missing that bruiser, that back in between the tackles guy. He's coming. We have one on. He is Jamari Miller. He's a stud.
Chris,
and Justice Hayes.
That makes me bring up the question. You look at, we're talking about these offensive minds, and they have a system. Like, you would think we should establish some type of downhill running game with Jamarian Miller, Trey Saunders. We got all these horses. We need to let them run And I fought the coaches. Like, I'm sorry, Bill O'Brien, you got all these talented pieces. I would have so many creative packages where defenses would be so scared to play me. But I mean, I don't know. It's just very frustrating. Your thoughts, Chris?
It's like I was telling Ron McClain earlier this morning, made a post and I commented on it. Like, you don't see us taking shots as guys like Bun, those guys that setting high school records in 100 meters, like speed. Bun, even Leary. I know he's been hurt, but Christian Leary, guys like that, put those guys in the slot, man. Clear out those safeties are starting to cheat up, and because they beat over top because they know that we're not going to take shots. So that's why people talk about separation with our receivers. So much of that it's hard to get separation when you got a safety that's down 10 yards. It's, yards in a corner is right. It's hard to get separation when the team knows. So you got to spread them out, man. You got Gibbs. You got to spread those guys out. What you have, you got to use your horses, man. Gibbs
use your horses.
Should have 25.
Speaking of horses, ladies and gentlemen, we got Griff Redmill in the building, SEC champion 1999, the legend, offensive guard himself, Griff Redmill. Welcome to the Football University. How are you doing today, my brother?
Hey, guys.
So, Griff, just to get you up to speed, we were just talking about how Alabama football is really lacking that physicality. We're not using all our talents. We're not putting the players in best position to be successful. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, as a receiver, I'm mad that these guys, it looks like we don't have a receiver that can win one-on-one coverage. But we're talking about how we need to be physical and be able to run the ball downhill. But I start with this, Griff. What do you think is really lacking from offensive line or just what are your thoughts when you turn on Saturdays and you see Alabama football this past week?
Well, I think you said a mouthful, right? A couple different things. You got lack of, the inability to get it open downfield. One thing is the game into this, it's a will, it's multiple formations, factor kind of point diminished. You're good at both of those things. It's really hard to get down the field, passing attack, really hard, and then also be good at all down your throat football. It gives us throughout the week. It's hard to defend both of them. So, what we've seen over the last few years, and Coach Sark, it's kind of going away from physicality. So, if you're beating folks up, touchdowns, it's no big deal. A situation like we've seen this year, and we've got to get it's 4th and 1. Oh, we don't even know how to take a snap from under center. And right. So we find ourselves, and it's just the fact of the matter. Those kids' fault. It's just it's and so down the field passing attacks. These guys, okay, we're going to run power pro. It's hard to do it. But fortunately, the last few years, dudes out there on the take the top off of it. And but this year we don't see ourselves in a situation where we need to be able to line up and take it for a reasonable game, and
I agree. I mean, we're not able to do that, but to me, it falls back on coaching. Like, even if you're not taking downfield shots, like you got so many as a coach. And Chris, you coach high school football, whereas, and Griff, I'm quite sure you coach somewhere around the line where we don't have nowhere near all this talent. So you have to be creative with the talent that you have to, to score points and things like that. We're not being creative. And that's one of my biggest frustrations with Bill O'Brien. Like, he hasn't found ways to really give defenses fits. And it's like he's in another world. I mean, you're up in the box. I'm like, are you not seeing the same defense that we're seeing? You're so predictable. We do the same thing. We do the same plays. He has no awareness of the game, the situation, his players, all those type of things. I give you an instance, for example, the Tennessee game. We're up 41. We got the ball with 41 seconds. He comes back and calls
We didn't run it once.
Didn't run it once. We comes back and called 3 straight passes. And then if you're going to run the ball to the middle of the field. That way Will Riker can get an easy kick. I mean, those little things go a long way. Let me get your thoughts, Chris, and then I'll go to you, Griff, after that. How do you expound on that?
Yeah, I agree, man. We make football way more difficult than it has to be. You're supposed to – the football is in the hands of your playmakers. And we're shortchanging Gibbs, man, in college football, and he's still not getting, enough touches. Did he average 10 yards a carry? But he's still not getting something good, and then we would go away from him. It's like we don't. You really can't see a rhythm. It's kind of like it's kind of like the play calling, but we don't run it enough. And against Tennessee, called 6 straight passes. We didn't take any time off the clock. 6 straight passes, and that allowed them to keep their timeouts.
Yep.
We didn't force them to use their timeouts. We should have set it up to where if we left too much time on the clock against Tennessee, and LSU, we just any traction, man. I what we were doing the first half. Second half was a little bit better, but the first half it seems like Bryce kind of struggled up underneath him. It seems like he kind of.
But then I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is what frustrated me. I'm a big guy. If a guy's and they're coming out saying that, well, Bryce hasn't been practicing. If Bryce hasn't been practicing, play Milroe and call packages for him. Like, play Ty Simpson. Like, it's not that hard. Like, at the end of the day, we need to win the game. So I'm gonna go to you, Griff, with the different, because we got all our fans in here coming in with questions. So, Griff, what do you think? You're vaunted. You've been on that 1999 championship team, and we were talking about how these guys look like they're not playing for their brother, their teammate, giving their all. They're not being tough. They're not being physical. Being in the Alabama locker room, being a guy up front, if you could talk to those guys, what would your message be right now? If you were able to, let's say, talk to the linemen or whoever, what would your message be and how they can fix it?
Well, from my perspective, in 1999 or 2022, University of Alabama, it's something to you. And,
you're right.
Right now, I seem to be playing uninspired. And is it this? Is it that? But, hey, Georgia's got the same NIL deals too, and they're out.
That's what we were just saying before you came on.
I mean, they're playing. They're playing. So, I don't. One thing that I think is a problem that maybe is we have turnover from year to year, and every for any length of time has coaching. You've always got one or two old that kind of, they know once it's done, and they really don't feel like we've got that. from a leadership standpoint. From a coaching, this is almost every year. And you got to have that consistent. So on a spot where all of a sudden every year, like we get a coach at our meetings 3 or 4 times a year. Last couple of years, when they notify us who got up, and like unless it's Bill O'Brien or Pete Gum. So I think there's some things that I think Coach Saban's probably aware as anybody that we got to kind of get expectations starts. In the beginning, when we had 5th, and then we followed it right up. We're in trouble. Like that has nothing to do with talent. I don't know how much it's got to do with coaching with those guys out there on the field. And
you're right.
They're not. They're still 18, 19. So you want it to be important to them, make it important to them. And some things like that have probably got to get back 7, 8 years ago.
I agree. Somebody mentioned the play calling. The play calling has been bland. There's no creativity from Pete Golden or Bill O'Brien. They seem like the coaching has got to improve. And you mentioned Coach Saban, and I've been critical on him. I was telling my wife earlier, I have never been so frustrated watching the Alabama football game than I was Saturday. It's like Coach Saban was just on the sideline. He really wasn't tearing into the coaches or the players, or we look so unprepared. And this is where I give Kirby Smart kudos. If his defense is not doing good, Kirby's going to start calling the defense. He's going to call the defense because he knows what plays to do. So I want to see more of that from Coach Saban. I know he celebrated his 71st birthday, but he keeps telling us the same thing that, we got to work on this or the standard, but we're not seeing it. And at the end of the day, it falls on the head coach. And I need to see Coach Saban being that guy. Be more like Bear Bryant. Chew him out. Like, get mad at these guys and stay on your coach's necks. Chris Griff, what are your thoughts about that? We'll start with Chris.
Yeah. Essentially, I see defensively. First off, I agree with it at all when you have your best pass rushers dropping back in coverage. Man. Yeah. It's okay to do it every now and then as a change up, but when you have Dallas Turner, and that's getting out. Will only has like 7 sacks on the year because I'm not too fond of the idea of sliding him down inside at 250 pounds, the quarterback. No, he's an edge guy. He's on one edge, Dallas Turner's on the other edge. And when they do that, we're at our best. And another thing is we pose way too much. Way too much. For example, Tennessee go right down the field, down the middle of the field after we missed that field goal because our safety unique and guarding the side. But why do you have to, guard timeouts? They can use the whole field. So it was no need to be guarded. They weren't trying to get out of bounds. They had timeouts. So they gutted us right down the middle. Simple things like that. And leaving safeties one-on-one with a guy that burnt you for 5 touchdowns. No, there's no way in the world I will let one guy safety. Okay, let's do something different. Let's add a extra corner, take a safety off. Let's do something. That's what you do week long. You come up with ways to stop the opposing offense. A good job with that. Saturday night, the 2-point play. I knew we were in. We had 12 men on the field, and Brian Branch was running off the field.
Out of a timeout. Coming out of a timeout. That's what's frustrating.
And yes, out of a timeout. So everybody knows that we're there. Switch it up. Play zone, go cover 8, go something, and blow that play up because you knew the pick route was coming.
Yep.
The pick route was because we were in man. They knew, the whole stadium knew we were in
We're
man.
so predictable, Chris. So
play zone. You
play
win the
zone. We're
have that corner sit right there, blow it up. You win the ball game. This just mix it up. We are so predictable. And we have made not one adjustment to that. And the thing is, if you're playing a scrambling quarterback, a quarterback that can run one thing as a defensive guy, you do not give him lanes to run. Like, basically, you do not go man-to-man without a spy. If you're going to play man, because when you're in man, the defensive backs, they're better. So now the quarterback, all he has to do is step up, and he has the whole field. Everybody's get past the pass rushers, and that's what they did. We didn't have a spy. Why weren't we spying Daniels? Just little things like that. It just irks me. And those are things that, as a coach, it bothers me because you're seeing the same and week out, week in and week out, weekend and without any adjustments.
We got Spencer has a question for Griff. They said, Griff, is it not true that if you see the same inside stunts from the same defensive set, it's like eating ice cream for the center and guards, right? So, expound on that. You were in the trenches. Tell us, can you expound about, being on the inside, that guard and center? For me, it's like we're lacking the linemen. We come from an age where the linemen like, man, coach, we running this play, we getting in the end zone, and we gonna run it down their throats. Like, what are your thoughts on the offensive line, the center guard, inside stunts, handling those?
Well, yeah, I mean, defensive scheme, offense, matter if they're running stunts or twists or step again, you're going to figure out how to recognize their alignment. You're going to recognize, if you know what's coming, it's easy. So, yeah, I think, from us, defense point, what he said earlier, okay, and it's complicated. I know everybody's worried about keying on Anderson. So what do we got to do? We got to move him down to 3 technique. Hey, let's just put him out there at 7 technique. Anderson. And we don't have to come up with all this cutesy stuff. It doesn't have to be a stunt one-on-one.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how much. What kind of schemes the guys are running. Be S. Will Anderson one-on-one.
I agree. So, we talked about what Bama's lacking. It's just very frustrating. It is very frustrating. Most Bama fans are like, this is not smash mouth football. We want to play smash mouth football. We know Lane. Let's preview. You got 1 point to say, Chris?
One more point. And another thing, the number one thing, our problem is we have an inside linebacker. And what I mean by that is we are not stepping up in the hole. We are roll tackling. We're diving their ankles. I haven't seen a group of linebackers. It hurts. Like, you will see it on the replay, and all you have to do is get downhill and blow it up. And we're diving their ankles. The most frustrating and softest
defense I've seen.
Gosh, man. I mean, it's played like the D-line played it well, and they clogged it up, and linebacker one-on-one with a running back.
But they go
on 3rd and 7.
Oh my
when it should have
gosh.
when it should have been 7. Just little things, man. We have to get tough at inside backer. We have to get right now. We're
And
not
then
tough.
what frustrates me is Pete Golden calls the same blitz and the blitz doesn't work. Like it's no creativity. Like, come up with something or don't blitz. You know, one thing I respect Kirby, he played a lot of zone. He was not in man. And they won the game. They dominated. Their front four had great pad level. It's like we're bad at the little things. Like, I watch Georgia, they make tackles, they're physical, and they have low pad level the whole game. Where you look at our D line, they get up high as soon as this ball snaps. Like, I'm like, we're so bad at the little things. What are some of the things that you are noticing, Griff, and then I'll let Chris end on it. Then we'll talk about Alabama Ole Miss preview.
Well, you're talking about the little things, and like our guys are expecting not to get there. Looking to bat the ball down. So that's the first thing that in that regard. But, a lot of this had to practice and how we're practicing. There's so reducing the contact and hurt and then 2 games where you got penalties, so there's some pressure there. So it's different in how we're practicing, the else is practicing, but they don't have the throttle all the way down. And not make a mistake, timid, not get a penalty. Did a real good job of that, but it's still a stroke. And I think I hadn't been to practice in a long time. I had, folk contact. But you know what? There's only one way to learn it. That's between Monday and Wednesday.
It's back there. I don't know what happened just then. It seems like everybody. But on that, I just really think that we could mix it up on defense. You really don't see any corner blitzes from the field. Safety blitz. Like, whenever we blitz, we send a branch. You don't see Ricks or Kool-Aid coming. On blitz, it's a same point to where it's gotten pretty predictable. But I just think that we just have to get better, man. Just want to, the will, the desire to, and play to the standard. I just feel like Coach Saban's getting tired. The less energy you have and wanting to keep correcting the same thing over and over, to keep talking. And I really think Coach Saban is tired. It's you can tell he's frustrated, and he's protecting the guys. He loves his team, and he sees the potential. But the thing about it, a lot of people act like the house is burning. We lost both of those games with 0 seconds on the clock.
I don't care. We took one of them.
Like 8:35. We had 2 losses before the Iron Bowl. We're not used to that too often.
You're better than me, Chris.
Burning, but we have.
You're more positive than me, because I'm over here like we should have won those games despite us playing bad and things. So let's preview Alabama versus Ole Miss. Going into Oxford, Mississippi. I know y'all have got fond memories, but I think we've got to come correct. Bryce is going to have to play an exceptional game. I think he's going to get the full week of reps in practice this week. I'm quite sure, to your point, hopefully that Coach Saban is on his coordinators next, and we can, run good plays. But it's going to be a hostile environment. I think Lane Kiffin has this way with our defense because he's such an offensive minded genius. So we're gonna have to come with it. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's about the rest of the season. Whether or not realize is LSU, they still have 2 losable games. Arkansas, it could be their Super Bowl, even though Arkansas has been playing bad, but it's still
easily win that game, yeah.
And they still have Texas A&M, both of them on the road.
Yeah,
we all know how it's not like LSU, some super team like Georgia that can just beat you. So LSU, those are 2 very losable games, and if we win Saturday, you play for. We still have a lot to play for, but
yes.
But we just don't control that. Saturday will tell us a lot about this team, man, because we go out there and play like we basically gonna run us out the stadium. But if we've been doing after every loss and going there and handle business, we have some type of I guess respect from everybody else, because they could have dropped us lower than what they did. We're at 9.
We should have been like 15th or 14th, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Saturday's gonna tell us, and that's gonna be a tough challenge, man. Ole Miss playing good ball right now, and we have to. This is gonna be mano a mano. Can we stop the run? Can we score though? It's gonna be hostile, and we better be up for the challenge, man, or it won't be pretty.
Griff, what are your thoughts?
I want to tell you, this game makes me as nervous as in a while after seeing the last few weeks. Here's the thing about it is, week after for the switch to flip, Alabama, even, and always played 100%. They get down, but at some point in the game, and they take charge. And 2-3 times this year, we've been waiting for that to happen. Now, a couple of those we went ahead and escaped, lost. And it's like, why is it not flipping? And is licking his child. And I don't know why better in the country, a one-off to beat you. Yeah, he could do it, but I think he just kind of, then there's a couple times a year when he can put a special plan together, and he's saving. He wants to beat this team, and he will have a plan dialed up, and we put things out before we get off. Could be ugly.
Yeah.
He wants that Bama job too.
Yeah, I think Lane's trying to get that Bama job. He wants to be the next guy after Coach Saban. Speaking of this game, this is a kind of, playing Alabama is kind of a rivalry. We know we have a lot of Alabama fans out there. I'll give you my big craziest memory of Alabama Ole Miss. I'm quite sure the fans will want to know, and I'll ask you all to give your memory, but I'll start it off and say, my craziest memory going to Ole Miss, we was like, I think 2002, 2004 maybe. We were in Oxford.
2003.
Yeah, not 2000. No, it might be 2005. We won the game, and we were leaving the field. It was like a controversial play call, and they're fans. They're like throwing bottles all on the field and everything. I was like, man, these Ole Miss fans do not like us. So that's a crazy memory. And then Chris is talking about 2003. I'll let Chris go into that one. So, Chris, the floor is yours.
We ran into a buzzsaw with Eli Manning, and he jumped on our tail from opening kickoff, man. like the first series, man. Time we go in there, and that was the only time I ever seen Coach Shula to us. And it's funny, man, because we weren't, and man, he led into the team and everything, and everybody just kind of looked at each other like, "Go off on us," because we were used to it from Fran. He ripped us a new one all the time.
Even that Sunday, he was ripping everybody. I was like, man, Coach Shula.
Yeah, and the first time I saw Shula coaching, like, it was like, it was kind of weird, but man, they Oxford, man, and that's why I tell people, man, you get that crowd going, it's gonna be a long day. That is it's not the biggest stadium because they get to drinking early, and party and all that, man, and it gets right in that stadium, man. It gets right. So I hope they're ready for it.
Yeah, Griff, what is one of your memories?
Game was always a big game before I wound up. So it was always going to play well against those guys, and they had a good kind of on the bounce back. Previous year we'd been down, and it was a back and forth game, and it was a walk-off field goal.
Wow!
We were more than one other last second field goal to walk off, field goal to win it. And so that was a fun victory. But 2000, of course, I think preseason 3 in the country games that year. But one is, and that was Eli's, but Romero Miller was the quarterback out of him that night.
Oh man, Romero Miller, you took
3. Something a terrible year, and we played so great. It's just been all year long, but that was the one.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing those memories. Thanks for being on the show. We're going to wrap things up here at Football University. I want to say thank you to my guest, Chris James, the one and only out at Albany, Georgia, and Griff Redmill, bringing his great offensive knowledge. And to the fans out there, thank you for being in the comment section where we talk everything football. This is your course for Football University, everything. To all the fans out there, roll tide, roll. And this has been an episode of Football University. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Griff.
Good to see you, Griff. Good to see you, Matt.
Roll Tide. You too.
Roll Tide.